couple guys I'll call out here. We got like Eli Manning, we got Ryan Tannehill, Colin Kaepernick, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater. Any of those guys you think are good plays?
Yeah, I'm all over Sam Bradford. He's my favorite tournament play. He's priced very reasonably on FanDuel at $7,500, and I don't think his price is out of line on DraftKings either. In fact, he's $6,900 on DraftKings, which is pretty much equal to that because they've got a little different pricing system. He's going against an absolutely terrible Atlanta Falcons defense and Chip Kelly offense. Given their pace of play, he should get some extra reps out there, some extra plays. I mean, the Eagles could very well score 30 plus points in that game, and I think he'll be a big part of that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Eagles and Falcons game has the highest over-under for all the weekend games. Am I right on that?
Yeah, right now it's at 55.5.
55.5, yeah. So lots of points are going to be scored there, and you're right. Like Chip Kelly loves to pass the ball. I think a lot of his passing are kind of safe passing. I think they're going to move the ball pretty well there against Atlanta. I think I'm expecting a huge shootout, and I think a lot of my lineups have got some good exposure to that game.
Yeah, and in fact, Atlanta, according to Football Outsiders, was the 30th rated pass defense last year. I mean, it can't get much better than that.
Yeah, exactly. Any guys below that that we're really looking at? Any sort of like sleepers? Any gems down here in the lower ranks here that we're looking at?
I'm looking at a couple of them, honestly. Carson Palmer at 7,700 against the New Orleans defense playing at home. He's not a great tournament play because he doesn't have that huge upside. He rarely throws for 300 yards and 3+ touchdowns, but he's very consistent. He always gets you points. New Orleans pass defense was rated 32nd last year, and there are only 32 teams, so you can't get any worse than that. Arizona's running game is still very iffy, so he's a real good cash game player. But my favorite play of the day by far is Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I definitely have a lot of exposure to Tyrod Taylor. Go ahead and explain why.
Okay, Tyrod is at the bare minimum on FanDuel at 5,000, and the bare minimum on DraftKings at 5,000 as well. First of all, he's a running quarterback, and that gives you a very high floor, meaning what the base you expect from him, because he should get you 50 to 60 yards at a minimum on the ground. So that's 5 or 6 points right there that you can count on him getting that a lot of more stationary quarterbacks aren't going to get. Indianapolis is not a great pass defense, and they're expected to be winning. So Tyrod should be, going for it all the way to the end. And at 5,000, in order to meet value, he needs to do very, very little. And I think he's by far the best play of the day. I don't think he'll score as many points as an Aaron Rodgers, let's say, but he's at half the price.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I actually wrote an article where I featured Tyrod Taylor, and he wasn't expected to win the starting job. And if you look at least on FanDuel, the lowest priced known starter when FanDuel put their price tags out was Derek Carr at 6,300,000 or 63,000. Sorry, 6,300. Sorry, let me get my tongue untied here. And Tyrod's all the way down at 5,000. So I mean, he's now the starting quarterback. I don't think, at least in my opinion, in week 2, he's definitely going to raise in price regardless of how he plays.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right, so Tyrod Taylor, definitely a good tournament play. You have him in cash games too, or is he strictly tournament only?
No, he's the best cash game value out there, I think. And he's not a rookie either. He spent 4 years backing up Joe Flacco in Baltimore, so I don't think the game will be too big for him either.
Yeah, and he's definitely looked good in preseason for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on onto the running backs here. Of course, the top tier guys here, the number 1 guys, Adrian Peterson. We got Jamal Charles, Forte, Jeremy Hill, Lynch, and Lacey. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to put DeMarco Murray in that top tier quite just yet. I'm not sure what he's going to look like in Philadelphia. So of those guys there, are there anybody that's worth paying up for?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them worth paying up for. My favorite running back of the day is Eddie Lacy. Like we discussed before when we were talking about Chicago's defense is just awful. And I don't think having John Fox there is automatically going to fix it.
Yeah.
Again, we discussed before, Green Bay is expected to win the game, but not margin. I think they're 5.5, 6-point favorites right now, meaning Lacy should be on the field running the ball out in the fourth quarter. So he's going to be a four-quarter back. He's a three-down back. He's heavily involved in the passing game as well. So I think he's a great pick in that high over-under game.
Yeah, I actually was surprised that he was not ranked up there with the 9,000 or the Jamal Charles. I was surprised to see guys like Jeremy Hill and even Matt Forte is priced over him. So when I saw Eddie Lacy, 8,500, I was like, he's my play. I mean, in season long, he's my number one pick overall. I think.
Yeah, he was as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a huge season. So I think he's definitely in a lot of my lineups as well. Moving into sort of the second tier guys, we've got.
In the first tier, I also like Jeremy Hill a lot too against Oakland.
Against Oakland, yeah, the Oakland's defense is not that great. I agree on that one.
They give him, he had over 1,000 yards and only 10 starts last year.
Yeah, you're not afraid of Giovanni Bernard at all?
No, Giovanni Bernard was around towards the end of the season too, and they have pretty strict roles. Hill's your early down back. Giovanni Bernard's your third down back. He might get a series, but I don't think he's a huge threat to Jeremy Hill's workload. And a couple of times that Cincinnati tried to get cute and go with more of a passing game, they paid the price. So I think they know they're a power running team right now, and they're going to ride out Hill.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think they want to put the ball in Dalton's hands too much. I think Jeremy Hill's their workhorse. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the second tier here. We got guys like LaShawn McCoy, Andre Ellington. We got Forsett, Frank Gore, of course, now with Indianapolis. Murray, of course, we just talked about the Oakland-Cincinnati game. We got Latavius Murray in there. Anybody in this range that you like?
The only one I really like is Latavius Murray. When they finally turned him loose in the last 4 or 5 games of the season, he really ran well. He scored, I think, 19, 18 points versus the Kansas City Bengals in just a few carries. So I think he's a real good, or 23 points actually, on 4 carries and 2 receptions. So
can't beat that.
They did 28th against the run, and the point spread is close enough that I think Oakland can stay in it long enough to give Murray enough carries to hit value.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that Latavius Murray call. Any interest in Frank Gore with that high-powered offense in Indianapolis, or does the Buffalo defense scare you away?
No, he's going against the number 1 rated run defense from last season, and an article came out today that they're planning on limiting his carries this year, sort of like putting a pitcher on a pitch count to keep him fresh for the playoffs. So, yeah, I really don't have any interest.
Definitely avoiding him. There is one guy in here that I kind of like. I don't know if he was considered mid-tier. Maybe he's a little bit the third tier, but I kind of like Doug Martin. What do you think of Doug Martin going up against the Titans?
He's definitely got the matchup. He was awesome his first year. He was a candidate for Rookie of the Year. His last 2 years have been disappointing. And I think Tennessee is going to stack the box and make Jameis try to beat him, a rookie quarterback.
Right.
I got to wait and see on Doug Martin.
Got to wait and see. Yeah, I think I kind of got caught up in the hype of the preseason with Doug Martin. He had a couple good games. They talked about him losing weight.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, he definitely looked good. Like I said, they talked about him losing weight and he looked quicker, but it is always preseason. I just figured, he healthy. He hasn't really been healthy the last 2 years, and if you're going to play him, you're going to play him while he's healthy against, the Tennessee defense. Probably just more of a GPP play more than anything for me.
Yeah, that could be a good contrarian pick. If he actually is, back to his rookie form, he could have a real good game at a low price tag.
All right, so let's go ahead and move down to some of these punt plays here. Is there anybody down here at the bottom that we're looking at that could be a good play here?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Chris Ivory. He'll be going against the Cleveland defense that's bottom of the barrel against the run. He's playing at home. He's playing in a game that they're expected to win, and he's finally out of the timeshare that he was in the last couple seasons with Chris Johnson. I think it's a perfect time for him. He's priced at 6,400. He basically needs to gain 80 yards and score a touchdown to hit value, which I think is very easy for him to do. Like I said, Cleveland was ranked, I think, 30th against the run last season. Absolutely terrible. And the Jets love to ground and pound. So I really like Chris Ivory. You pair him with Tyrod Taylor, and you can pretty much have any other player you want in your lineup.
Yeah, this is true. You actually had to convince me on Chris Ivory, because for some reason I had it in my head that Cleveland had a better defense than that. I didn't believe that they were bottom of the barrel, and that's kind of the fantasy football person in me, because Cleveland was a viable defense last year to use in fantasy because they created turnovers and got sacks, but I had to go back and look at the yards given up, and you're right, they were like dead last or close to the end there at rushing, stopping the run. So yeah,
well,
Chris.
They were real good against the pass. I think they were ranked second against the pass. So you don't want to target any quarterbacks or receivers against them, but running the ball wise, yeah, they're not real good at stopping that.
Yeah, so definitely I had to go get him in some of my lineups because you definitely pointed that out, and I didn't even know that. There's another guy that kind of came onto my radar just in the last couple days. I wanted to just kind of touch on to see if you think anything of him. Now, granted, he is playing on Thursday night, and I know you say you typically fade Thursday nights, but with Jonas Gray getting cut and with Blunt, being suspended for the first game, I could see the Patriots passing a lot. I mean, they don't really have a running game. But what about Dion Lewis? He's sort of taken over that sort of passing down back, that Shane Vereen was in past years. He's down there, Dion Lewis is down there in the bare minimum of the barrel. What do you think of him as a GPP play?
If you want to do that to yourself, go for it. But I made a vow last year that I would never roster a Patriots running back because I have absolutely no idea what Belichick's going to do, and neither does anybody else when it comes to running backs.
This is true.
Yeah, he could go off. He could get you 15, 20 points. You could just sit on the bench the whole game.
This is true.
Yeah, tournament only. If he goes off, you've got a great one there. But, again, I have no idea what Belichick's going to do.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, perfect example is Jonas Gray. I mean, what did he have, 201 yards and 4 touchdowns and then never touched the ball again last year?
Yeah, he missed a meeting, and that was the end of it.
That was it. Now he's been cut, and who knows if he's going to get picked up with anybody.
He actually did. He got picked up. He's on the Dolphins practice squad right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dolphins could definitely use some depth because I guess the rookie Jay Ajayi hasn't really shown them much.
Yeah. So, but he's still on the practice squad, so who knows what's going to happen with him. But, yeah, that's the thing that's so maddening about the Patriots running back situation. You have no idea what's going on. It's sort of like the same as the Cowboys right now.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people are going to be on Randall. I think that's a huge mistake because it's a great situation for them, but they're just going to ride the hot hand of 3 different running backs that they're going to use in different situations. So who knows? And it's the same thing with the Patriots. Yeah,
I think with Randall, at least, I've talked to a couple of Cowboys fans. I believe you're a Cowboys fan, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of the lesser informed Cowboys fans point to his yards per carry last year being like a ridiculous 7 yards per carry. That's unsustainable. I think it's attributed to a couple big runs.
Like 60-yard runs that drove that.
Yeah, it kind of throws that off. It kind of reminds me of, because I'm a 49ers fan, Colin Kaepernick, I think, as a yards per carry was like 5 point something, but a lot of it came on that 80-yard run versus San Diego. If you take that 80-yard run out, his yards per carry go down quite a bit. So I think it's kind of the same thing with Randall.
One thing I do want to caution any listeners about is Alfred Blue. He's going to be a really popular target at 5,800 with Arian Foster's injury. And if you want to completely punt running back, I guess you could do worse. But the guy's a plotter. He's always been a plotter. He's not a very good football player. He had a 3.1 yard per carry average last year. And he doesn't have a real good matchup against Kansas City, so...
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think originally when Arian Foster went down, I was like all over Alfred Blue on DFS, but the more I kind of looked at it and broke it down, I was kind of like,